Hello, everyone, and welcome to our monthly meetup for advisors only. My name is Christine Beck, and I am the organizational director with the Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance. Today is Monday, September 27th, 2021. I'm not sure how we have gotten this far in September, and we are knocking on October's door. And for all of you who are joining us, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk about what we as advisors can do, tips and tricks for successful self-advocacy group meetings. Some of you may be meeting in person, and that's amazing. Some of you may be meeting online, and that's amazing as well. And some of you may not have gotten your self-advocacy meeting schedule back up and going yet, and that's amazing as well. As we've been telling advisors and allies, your goal over the last 18, 20 months is to survive. And we want people to be able to do that safely and successfully. And within those day-to-day interactions, we hope that you are providing self-advocates opportunities to speak up and speak out, to make choices, to empower people, and to honor choices. So let's talk a little bit about tips and tricks for successful self-advocacy group meetings. And one of the ones I'd like to share with you for consideration is making sure no matter where you are holding your self-advocacy group meeting, there is plenty of space for all who will be coming. So making sure that people can move around the room easily, that chairs can be moved so people who are chair users or using walkers can easily come and sit at the table, that there's plenty of room around all the chairs to move around. Some people like to stand, some people like to pace. Whoever comes to your meetings, we just want to make sure that the physical space is accessible and welcoming and open to all. Now, if you are doing meetings virtually using Zoom or another platform, making sure people know how to get onto online virtual platforms is really important. So maybe taking some time sharing information on how to log on to virtual formats, making sure that people have maybe somebody to support them in getting onto an online self-advocacy meeting. You may have to do some practice on turning cameras on and turning cameras off, and turning on microphones and turning off microphones. Just thinking through what are the things that you need to do to make sure that you have successful self-advocacy meetings, knowing that every time you meet is not going to be 100% success. We are learning and growing each and every time we are engaging with each other. Another consideration after you figure out space and where you're going to have it, how do people know about it? Do you have a self-advocacy bulletin board? Do you have a Facebook group? Do you have a text group? Can you put flyers up announcing when and where your self-advocacy group is going to meet? It's really hard for people to know to come if there aren't any reminders, or sometimes visual and auditory reminders when and where the group are going to meet. So I am going to call on a couple of our participants today, or participants who are on today. So Adam, I know that you are part of a self-advocacy group.
Yes, I am.
All right. And how often does your group meet?
Once every month.
Okay. And do you always meet in the same place?
Yes, on Zoom.
Okay, so you meet on Zoom. So you're a group that's doing things virtually. How do you know what day and time your group is going to meet on?
Usually Tara sends out a link and we
Okay.
click on it.
Okay, so an advisor or ally has email addresses and they are sending out links and reminders. So does Tara only send it out once or does she do it a couple times?
Probably once,
Okay.
but for maybe important ones, maybe twice.
Okay. So sometimes it's about giving those reminders again via email or text. Maybe you have a bulletin board and you can put a flyer. In some locations, people have different cubbies or lockers, and maybe you hand out reminder slips, whatever you do. But another idea is to ask people in your self advocacy group, how do you want to get your reminders? What works best for you? Um, some people are fine looking at a flyer. Other people rather have some kind of physical representation of when a meeting is. So other people who use emails, they prefer to get it that way. So asking people is really important. That's empowering. And that's them speaking up and speaking out and being more a part of that group and the control of that group. Tara or Noelle, would you like to share any other tips and tricks in terms of how do we let people know about upcoming meetings?
Group text messages might work. People
All right.
at their phone.
Right, group text messages.
Yeah, I would add calendar invites. I really like, Christine knows I love a calendar invite. So if something's on my calendar, then that's been really helpful for me. So
Yes. So, and again, you may find that not one thing fits everyone, but maybe use a couple different ways to remind people of meetings. The other thing you can do is make sure you have an agenda. So when you get together for a meeting, you have an agenda. And perhaps the agenda can be written really big on a piece of post-it paper. Maybe it could be on a whiteboard. Also having individual agendas. A lot of us, when we go to meetings, we are given a piece of paper with an agenda, and that helps us know what's going to happen and keeps us moving forward. And it might eliminate some of the extra conversations that can happen, right? That can get everything off track. So making sure you have an agenda. It goes back to a flyer or a notice, because if you have something big that's going on, maybe you're planning for an activity or event, or there's a big decision that your group is going to be making, or some kind of wonderful information you're going to be sharing with the group, you might want to note that on your flyer or on the email or text or calendar invite you send out. You want people to be excited about what's going to happen at the upcoming self-advocacy group meeting. So maybe you have a little bit of a sneak preview. Hey, we're going to talk about this conference that we got invited to go to, or we are going to plan a fundraiser. So think about those kinds of things. Also, with your flyer, making it inviting, but remembering universal design. We don't want it to be too busy and people can't read it because they can't see the forest for the trees, right? So try those kinds of things as well. So here's a question that somebody has shared. During our self-advocacy meetings, everybody wants to talk all at once and nobody wants to follow the agenda. What can we do? So I'm going to put it out to you, our audience participants. How can we help this person? What ideas do you have?
This is Adam, and
Yeah.
I would say either put yourself on mute or ask someone to help you generally put yourself on mute so everyone can talk out, not at once.
All right. Oh, great idea. So if you are doing your self-advocacy meeting on Zoom or another online platform, ask people to put themselves on mute and remind people only one person talking at once. Putting yourself on mute can also help eliminate background noise. And sometimes there's a lot of coming and going during a meeting, and it can be kind of it can be confusing to try and listen to everything. So what if you're having this meeting in person? You're having an in-person self-advocacy group meeting and everybody wants to talk at once. What ideas do you have?
This is Tara. I would say something that we do at the Advocacy Club at Center for Independent Futures is we have group rules that the group decides and agrees upon. And so sometimes, if I'm facilitating a meeting, then I would refer back to that. Or I would actually, another idea is to ask the president of the group or the treasurer or the secretary, one of the people in a leadership position to remind everyone about the group rules.
Oh, that's a great idea. I do know that some groups come up with rules, and there doesn't have to be a whole lot of rules, but rules that will help your group run a little bit more smoothly. Might be things like be on time so we can start on time. It might be one person talking at a time. It could be no phones or texting during a meeting or no social media during a meeting, so we can all focus on that, what we're there for. So I really like that idea, Tara. Thank you for sharing that. And again, maybe having the rules large in print that you can hang on the wall, and somebody in a leadership role can read those rules at the start of every meeting just to help center everybody and what we're about to accomplish. I really like that. Any other ideas for everybody's talking at once? What can we do?
This is Noelle. I would recommend making a part of the agenda an open discussion time. So everyone knows, okay, we're going to talk about all of these agenda items. When we're done, we'll have open discussion and people can say what they want to share. If people know that they'll be able to talk later, then maybe they'll be quiet when they need to pay attention to what's going on.
All right, I like that. Building into the agenda a time for open discussion. So you get your business done first, and then maybe the last 10 minutes of the meeting, people can bring up things like a birthday or a date or somebody's dog, the things that people, when they gather together, they want to talk about different things. And that is understandable. And that's part of what makes relationship building so important. But it's also important to stick to the agenda. I know another person shared that they use something called a talking stick. And a talking stick can be something that you create if you're really creative, or it could be a ruler or a pen or something that has a physical presence. And only the person who has the talking stick can be talking. Everybody gets a chance to have the talking stick, but only the person with the talking stick is the one who should be talking. So we wanted to use a talking stick. Right now I have some flavored water. So if I wanted to talk, I would ask to have the talking stick and I would hold it and I'd say whatever I needed to say, and then I'd pass it to the next person. So lots of different ideas. All right. Another thing that someone asked is, sometimes during our meetings, we have to make decisions, and that is hard, and nobody wants to make a decision. How do we make decisions? So what ideas do you have?
This is Adam,
Okay.
and I would get together as a group and find ways to first talk to the person before, something happens. Or if it does happen, find someone who you can talk to be able to talk to that other person. So it's not so much pressure for everyone to hear about it.
Okay. Oh, I like that. We have a lot of different decisions we have to make as a self-advocacy group. And some of the decisions are fun, like should we have a hot dog cookout or should we have a bonfire? And then we can have some other decisions that can be a little bit harder. Maybe we have a group member that is a little bit challenging, and we're just having a hard time all getting along together. There's a lot of gossip and rumors, and kind of bickering at meetings, and that really gets in the way of the work that we're wanting to do. Anybody else have ideas about decision making?
This is Noelle. If the group is large enough, maybe have committees for certain topics and they narrow the choices down. So instead of having to decide on 10 or 20 things, you're only deciding on 1 or 2 as a whole group.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, it can be hard for a group to look at 10 different options because we're all different and we all like different things. But here's an opportunity, as Noelle said, to have a smaller group work on it and then bring it to the larger group. So the smaller group could take those 10 choices and they could whittle them down to maybe 2 or 3 or something that's a little bit more manageable. So here's another one as it relates to decisions. What if you got down to 2 or 3 choices and the group decided, but there's one person who is really mad that that was not the right choice, and that person's letting everybody know about it. Then what?
Maybe that's when you refer to the group rules, and one of the rules is that we are majority ruled. And this is what the majority said, and maybe next time you can offer other suggestions.
Thank you. I know
How you doing, Kristen?
I'm doing fine, Derek. I'm glad you've joined us. Glad you
Yeah,
joined us.
I was listening to what y'all was saying, and I got a few things on what you're talking about with coming with people group. And I know that when I'm in a group and I'm trying to talk, and some people don't give you a chance to give your word out. And I went through that quite a few times when I'm trying to vote my opinion in a group with people, and that person continue talking, don't give that person that chance to talk. And that make a person mad. That do make a person mad because that person don't give that person a chance to speak their words, and they continue talking. And I feel that when that person ready to talk, they pass that stick, and that person, whoever that person ready to talk, can talk and vote their word to what that person want to say.
Yes. Oh, thank you, Derek. And thank you for that reminder that self-advocacy is about speaking up and speaking out. And self-advocacy also has the responsibility of listening to other people, that it is indeed our right to speak up and speak out. But with that right comes the responsibility to listen to what other people have to say. And if you really can't listen to what somebody else has to say, maybe that's time for you to just step out of that self-advocacy group meeting. Maybe that's not the best day and time for you. But I like that reminder. So thank you so much. Another really cool tip and trick that people do is having some icebreakers at the beginning of a meeting. With some people, they only have meetings once a month, and they bring people together from a variety of different places. So maybe you don't get to see everybody until that once a month. And so that's a time of a lot of chatter and a lot of talk. But tell me about some of your favorite icebreaker activities that people can use at the beginning of a self-advocacy group meeting. Anybody have any favorite icebreaker activities? Well, I'll share one. Go ahead, Adam.
Okay, this is Adam, and I think you should do what you did over the weekend. If you meet on Monday, like today.
Okay, so if you're meeting on a Monday like today, what'd you do over the weekend? So Adam, going with that theme, what if you meet on a Thursday or Friday? What could your theme be?
Like how have you been doing this week? What is there anything new with you?
Yeah.
How are things going at work or something like that?
Yeah, perfect. What's one awesome thing that happened this week? Or you could do, what are you going to do this weekend? So, yeah, what are your plans for this weekend? I like that a lot because, people like to talk about themselves and what they're doing and what they've done. Perfect icebreaker. Noelle, do you have any icebreakers?
I would maybe like try to divide the group, or not necessarily divide the group, but like, okay, who's team Coke, who's team Pepsi, or find some way to get a little bit of and I don't want to say competition because they're supposed to work together, but just, a little bit of feedback and a little bit of just excitement about something that they like or are favorable toward.
Sure. And you can Google lots of icebreaker activities. And one of the ones that Noelle is talking about is kind of a would you rather. So would you rather have Coke or Pepsi? Would you rather have salty snacks like chips or pretzels? Or would you rather have sweet snacks like candy and chocolate? Would you rather, do you like daytime or nighttime? Do you like summer or do you like winter? So there's all kinds of would you rather icebreakers like that. Or like Adam said, on that theme, it could be, hey, Halloween's coming up. Do you have a favorite scary movie? Or do you have a favorite costume that you're going to be wearing? Or what's your favorite Halloween candy? So you know what? I'm going to ask everybody on this For Advisors Only monthly meetup. What is your favorite Halloween candy?
I like those candy corn pumpkins.
Okay.
They're so gross. They're pretty gross, but I love them.
There really is a candy for everyone. I'm finding that out. All right, candy corn pumpkin. Derek, what's your favorite Halloween candy?
I love the Halloween when I love Reese's Pieces. I love when they do the Halloween Reese's Pieces and stuff like that. So that would be my favorite.
Halloween Reese's Pieces. Okay. Noelle or Adam, what's your favorite?
I like salt, so I would say Payday candy bars.
Ooh, Payday candy bars. They used to have a chocolatey Payday candy bar. I'm not sure if they have those anymore, but oh, no. You know what? Part of self-advocacy is speaking up and saying no. So thank you for that reminder, Noelle. And Adam, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
I believe it will be M&M's.
M&M's. Okay. I like popcorn balls. So, even something like that, that's, about a holiday or something coming up. Just a fun thing to get people maybe talking and get people centered, because oftentimes people are going from one activity or work to another, and then we're gathering people up for a self-advocacy group meeting. So thank you for that. Icebreakers are important, very much. Here's a question for you. What are your ideas if you want to have an agenda, but you don't know if your agency would print it out for you? Who could you go and ask? I mean, we have some allies and advisors say, well, I don't know if we can print out these agendas. What are your ideas there?
I would say talk to the director of the agency. Sure. or maybe someone who is in a position of authority of other people they might know.
Sure, that's a great idea. Oftentimes, directors or leaders may not know that you have a self-advocacy group at your agency or organization or within maybe your community. They're just unaware. And I do believe if they knew, they would support it. They want self-advocates to be empowered and be speaking up and speaking out about the things that are important and participating in the life of the agency and taking on those leadership roles and equalizing the power in the agency. Here's another question. The Alliance talks about action planning, so developing an action plan. So what kinds of ideas do you all have on action planning? So maybe a self-advocacy group has never done an action plan before. What could be something that they could get behind and do an action plan around?
This is Noelle with the holidays coming up, a holiday party for the group.
A holiday party, yeah. So Noelle, with that holiday party theme, what kinds of things would people need to talk through in choices and decision making as it relates to action planning?
Would they have any kind of food? If so, what food would they have? Who would bring it? Who's responsible to make sure that it's set up and cleaned up afterwards? What time do they meet? Is it, if it's Halloween, is it a costume party? Is it not a costume party? Where would they meet? Who would be in charge of doing what? Who would be in charge of setting up? Would be in charge of asking if they could use a room or a location, getting the word out, things like that.
All right. And if you've never done action planning before, the Alliance has resources on action planning. I'll actually share with you our Self-Advocate Leadership Manual, and it does have action planning information in there. But if you've never done action planning before, one of the most fun things that you can action plan around is a party or some kind of fun activity. Adam, do you have any ideas on fun activities folks could action plan around?
Like going to the beach.
Going to the beach. So it doesn't have to be a party, but maybe you are planning, a bunch of folks say, you know, we'd like to go to the beach. Hey, let's get an action plan going and start to talk about some of the things. So Adam, you brought up going to the beach. What kind of things would folks need to talk about with their action plan?
What beach they want to go to together, the time and place, how many people are going, and like what toys or you know, bring like shoes in case you go out to dinner afterwards or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. Another great idea. And once we get some action planning under our belt, we can take it up to the next level. So what could be then something else you can action plan for that might be making a difference for folks? What is something
This is
else?
Tara.
Yes.
So at the CIF Advocacy Club, we recently did an action plan for a challenge grant for the Alliance. So that was to get some funding to do an activity. Basically, Adam, what is the activity that the group is planning?
We are gonna be talking about different subjects that are important to the disability community.
Right. So it's kind of like an informational event for the community to learn about all the cool things that the Advocacy Club has done. And before in the group, we've done action plans about going to Speak Up, Speak Out. So, you know, Speak Up, Speak Out is an event where you can meet with legislators and meet with other advocates and learn about advocacy. So that's something we've done too. And I know other folks have done action plans about connecting with legislators. Maybe they want to have a rally day or a legislative breakfast or something like that.
Right. Oh, wonderful. Wonderful. And sometimes it will take several self-advocacy meetings to fully do an action plan. For a party, you might be able to do that during one self-advocacy group meeting. For a day at the beach or an outing to the beach, That might only need to take one part of your self-advocacy group meeting. But when you're planning something bigger, like some informational sessions or a small conference, or maybe you're planning for some meetings with legislators, it might take a couple of sessions, and that's okay. Here's another tip and trick for successful self-advocacy meetings. Sometimes less is more. As you're thinking of your agenda and of the time you have available, we really suggest no more than about 45 minutes to an hour. I don't know about you, but it's difficult for me to sit through a meeting that's more than 45 minutes to an hour. And so our most successful meetings we find are those that are about 45 minutes to an hour. And if people are done with the meeting, then they are welcome to get up and leave the room. You know, again, everybody has their own tolerance for different things, and keeping folks captive for an entire meeting just because maybe isn't the right thing to do. Remember, we want to be successful. I am going to share my screen and show a couple of items that I had spoken of. So the first item I'm going to share is through SARTech. It is Self-Advocacy Resource and Technical Assistance Center. So you can find SARTech's website at selfadvocacyinfo.org. And they have a lot of different resources. And what I'm going to share on the screen is resources to make your self-advocacy organization stronger. So if you have a self-advocacy group, or you're thinking about starting a self-advocacy group, this is a great website and great resources. So I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and there's lots of different tabs or things you can click on. Building strong boards, getting people involved, event planning. So that's kind of that action planning that we were talking about. But I'm going to click on meetings. So how do we have strong meetings? We'll click here and see what opens up for us. Well, what do you know? The Alliance is one of the first offerings. We did a webinar, a little bit more than a year ago, called Tips and Strategies for Successful Online Meetings. You can actually find this recording on the Alliance's website under meetings and presentations. You can also find it here. But I wanted to scroll down to this particular resource. This is a self-advocacy startup kit done by Self-Advocates Becoming Empowered, or SABE, S-A-B-E. And this is a toolkit that you can use to start up a self-advocacy group or to enhance your current self-advocacy group. It's a 115-page toolkit, and there's also a video that goes along with it. So I would say check out all the resources that are available to you when you are looking to start or enhance your self-advocacy group. I also wanted to share the Alliance's Self-Advocacy Leadership Manual. You can find this on the Alliance's website. We are located at www.selfadvocacyalliance.org. You would scroll down to the resources page and then get it there. So in this particular leadership manual, we really have the ABCs and 1, 2, 3s of starting a self-advocacy group or enhancing a self-advocacy group. There's plenty of information, whether you've been going for 5 years or 5 minutes, there's information in here for you. Everything from self-advocacy, spreading the message, recruiting members, your first meeting. Mission and vision statements. That's a great way to get folks working together and having some decision making, coming up with a mission and a vision. Maybe it's even coming up with a group name, or even a group logo. A lot of people want to identify with a group, and having a group name and a group logo can give identity. So this leadership manual is totally free, as are all the resources on the Alliance's website. I'm going to go ahead and scroll back to SARTech. As I had shared before, and SARTech has resources. Just going to click on there. SARTech stands for Self-Advocacy Resource and Technical Assistance Center. And you can check out, there's organization resources, current issue resources. There's a lot of issues facing people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. Can check that out. And then links to Zoom meetings. All right, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can go back to seeing each other in person. But I'd like to open it up at this time to any questions, comments, or considerations you have about tips and tricks on having successful self-advocacy meetings. So again, anybody want to share tips and tricks for successful self-advocacy meetings? And I did have one person share that they had been known, their group had had a group name for a long time. And as time went on, they had a little bit different focus, and they opened up their group to a wider community. And they found that they needed to change their group name to incorporate the newness and new members. So their tip and trick is, don't be afraid to make changes. Just because you started at this as this name or this logo or this mission and vision doesn't mean you have to stay with that forever. Our groups are evolving. We are changing. We are learning, and we are growing. And it's okay if you want to revise and update, go ahead and do it. But it needs to be a group decision. Cannot be an advisor or ally decision. It really does need to be a group decision. All right. What other tips?
There's no I in team, right?
There is
no
this is Tara.
There's no I in team.
That's right. There is no I in teamwork. I like that. Yes. What other tips and tricks? And let me see. Oh, here's another one, that it's really good to have a couple of advisors or a couple of allies. I know that our advisors and allies are awesome, and they are wearing a lot of different hats and have a lot of different responsibilities even before COVID. But now since COVID, people are taking on more responsibilities, and self-advocacy is important. And sometimes they cannot make a scheduled meeting, and that's disappointing for everyone. And if you have a couple of advisors, maybe a main advisor and a co-advisor, if you have a couple of people, that way, if somebody is called away from that meeting, the meeting still goes on. And that's really important for continuity. It can be difficult to remember what happened a month ago, but if you've had to miss a couple meetings because you've been called away to do some other tasks, trying to remember what happened then 3 months ago is even more difficult. So if you can have a couple of people, that would be best. What other tips and tricks? I would say another tip and trick here is a willingness to learn. An advisor doesn't have to have all the answers. In fact, it's probably better that you don't have all the answers, which is why I'm perfect to be an advisor. Self-advocates have answers. Advisors and allies, we need to provide the opportunity and the support for people to work through and sort out and find those answers. We are called to be guiders in the process and to provide support. It is not our job as an ally or advisor to run the whole meeting and make all the decisions. And it can be kind of painful as an advisor or ally to watch people struggle through that process, because we want people to have an awesome time and an easy time. But the growth and the learning can come with the struggle to kind of find our way through that process. And the growth and the struggle is for all of us, self-advocates and advisors and allies alike. We all are in this together. It's really great when we have some self-advocates who will tell advisors that this is not your place. We don't need your help. And we certainly have some self-advocates who will let advisors know that we've got it. We'll let you know when we need some help. What other tips and tricks?
Hi, this is Adam, and I think if anyone needs accommodations during a meeting, that they tell the person in charge of the meeting, or get people through your resources to help you.
Yes, thank you. There will be some people who need and want accommodations, and maybe they don't want to share it in front of everyone. And I get that. So letting people know who they can ask or tell about accommodations is really important. You don't have to raise your hand and say, I'm Christine and I need this accommodation. But people do need to know who they can ask or tell about accommodations. So thank you for that, Adam. I really like that. Another tip and trick here in the comments is maybe you have a guest speaker at one of your self-advocacy group meetings. Maybe folks during a meeting have said, hey, there's this new coffee shop, or there's this new business, or there's something people want to learn about. So maybe as an ally or advisor, you and somebody from the group, you make a call or you reach out and you make a contact and say, hey, we'd like for you to come and talk about your business, or we'd like to come and visit your business. I don't know if that's allowed with COVID. I'm not even sure if people can come into your meetings. Your agencies and organizations have rules and regulations and policies and procedures that you have to follow. Although, if you have access to the internet and somebody can join via Zoom, that's wonderful. They can join via Zoom and everybody else is in person or on Zoom. So every now and again, having a guest speaker. The Alliance loves to be a guest speaker, and we love to talk about self-advocacy. So there are people out there who would join you for your self-advocacy meeting. And here's another tip and trick. Maybe the executive director or president of your agency or organization, that's someone you should reach out to. Many people might know the name of the person who is in the most power at your agency or organization, but perhaps they've never met that person. And maybe that person has never met your self-advocacy group. And what better way to start that journey of empowerment and equalizing power and people being involved in the decisions in the life of the community than meet the person in charge. I'm talking self-advocates. The self-advocates are the people in charge. You know, the president or executive director needs to meet them. Yes. All right. Any other tips and tricks for successful self-advocacy meetings? Well, I'm not hearing any. And Remember, the Alliance is a resource. You can visit us at our website, www.selfadvocacyalliance.org. We do have a Facebook page. You just go into Facebook and search Self-Advocacy or Illinois Self-Advocacy Alliance, excuse me, and you can find us and like us. You can also email us at info, I-N-F-O, at selfadvocacyalliance.org. And you can ask to be added. We have 2 email listservs. One is called Learning and Advocacy Opportunities, great things to bring to your self-advocacy group. We also have another one called Monthly Newsletter. And we know that many self-advocacy groups print out our monthly newsletter. They bring it to their self-advocacy meeting and they share information. We also know that other self-advocacy groups take that newsletter or the learning and advocacy opportunities or both, and they post them on some bulletin boards so people have access to information, because information is power. And we want people to have power and control over their lives. And information is one way to have that happen. All right. Any closing comments, questions, or considerations? Before we go, I do want to add that the Alliance will be having another Alliance Ambassador Leadership Program, or AALP, facilitator training. If you want to learn how to facilitate a fabulous and free Alliance Ambassador Leadership Program, we are going to be having an Alliance Ambassador Leadership Program facilitator training. November 10th is the first day of training, and November 12th is the second day of training, where we have a coaching call. So you can send us an email at info@self-advocacy-alliance if you have an interest in participating. We would love to see you there. Our next For Advisors Only monthly meetup is scheduled for November 22nd, 2021 at 2 o'clock. We hope that you are joining us again. If there is a topic that you would like us to cover, you can email that to us as well. We love to have ideas and suggestions. We are here to support you as you support your self-advocates and your self-advocacy groups. And with that, I think we're going to end with a speak up and speak out. But I think I need to have everybody take themselves off of mute so we can do this. What do you think? Everybody take yourselves off of mute. I don't want to be the only one shouting. I'm coming to you from a disability service agency in Southern Illinois, and they might think I'm a little strange for just shouting all by myself in this room. So, all right, with that, we're going to end by saying speak up and
Speak up and
speak
speak
out.
out.
All right.
Woo!
Thanks all. See you next month. Bye-bye.